And then kind of probably the thing that really pushed me into actually doing it into a documentary is I had given, my friend Florence Henderson wasn't able to come to the birthday screening, and I gave her the DVD, and she took it home, and probably about 3 months go by, and in the middle of the night she calls, and they're like, oh my God, this is the best thing we've ever seen. We've got to watch it again. We love it. We love it, love it, love it. So at that moment, that's when I decided to turn it into what it is now. You know, in the film I said I really got my drive from my grandmother and my creativity from my mother. I mean, I probably reflect back on my grandmother the most because she was probably the most interesting character you can imagine. She came from a tremendously antebellum background with these amazing plantation homes and lived this amazing life and sort of floated through and always was very fluid with money and always had a lot of money. And then in her later years she didn't have money. And one of the things, and I wish it was in the film, and I regretfully I would probably put it in there, but when he was talking about how she would get the loan at the bank to get me the costumes, she also, when they retired, they bought a gas station. And so my grandmother was running low on money, and you know, I was such a perfectionist. I wanted like the perfect beaded outfit, and I wanted to be just exactly like Liza's or whatever, and I was crazed. But she actually let go one of the employees and went to work at the gas station so that she could it's hard for me to talk about, so that she could collect the paycheck to pay for the stuff to help support me. So I mean, I just thought it was like beyond, and I didn't really know about it till later, so it was very sweet. Well, it allowed me to do gigs. I mean, I couldn't have gone to Vegas and Europe without having like the whole homeschooling. Plus, you know, at the time I thought, oh, it's so Judy Garland. I feel like, you know, I've got my tutor, and you know, I can just kind of go off on the road and do my shows, and so that part worked out really, really well. It's interesting. A lot of people see the film and they ask me. They're like, there should be like more conflict, and you know, they want more of the juice, and there was more of the juice there. We were talking today in the car on the way here. My mom and my grandmother were in a constant power struggle over who was controlling me. I mean, you know, there was a lot of control going on, and I guess the performance and all that was my rebellion, and they let me do it wholeheartedly, and my mom filmed it. But you know, there was a point when my mom was engaged when they were in New Zealand, and so she was going to marry this guy, and that meant that I would stay in New Zealand, and when my grandmother left to go to Australia, back to Australia, I would stay. So my grandmother didn't like that at all and wanted custody of me. So there was this whole custody battle with my mother, and my mother didn't want to let go of the custody, so my grandmother committed my mother, literally, put her in an institution. And I remember going to see her in the institution until my mother would come around, and decided not to marry the guy and go back to Australia with us so that I could go along. So, and my mother basically ended up, you know, telling the guy so long and went off with my mom. So there was a lot of weirdness and, you know, family machinations that didn't go in, but it would have been really a lot longer, and I just didn't have it in me to do like the whole thing. And we did some interviews like that where that stuff came in, but it was really hard to edit in and make it seem, you know, not to go down too much of a dark path, because it's a pretty light film, and I had a very happy childhood, but there was that other stuff going on.
Oh, I love the movie. You're so talented. I enjoyed it so much. Barbara Streisand, all of us.
That was the best short I've ever seen. I enjoyed it so much. You've done such a terrific job in following your own path. I found the Liza Minnelli songs from New York and Cabaret and every one that you did of hers, and then Barbara on the car. And your entire performance of Streisand was incredible. I mean, you have a talent beyond what those two do. I loved your jazz series. I mean, you are unbelievable. Really, European tour now. I vote for it. Ciao, bello.
I thought the movie was absolutely inspiring and incredibly relevant to anyone regardless of sexual orientation or where they've come from. Just the notion to not reject, well, the sanctity of being able to not reject who you are to fit any sort of social norm, and just the message of really how much more content that makes you. I thought it was just so beautiful and inspiring, and I thought it just absolutely, you know, spanned thresholds of lifestyles and bridge gaps. I mean, I think everyone could really, really get something for themselves out of this film. Really, really loved it.
I just came out of Get Happy for the second time. I saw it twice here at the festival, and both times I left with a big smile on my face because it is inspiring, and it gives young people hope, and they never have to worry about who they are inside. They get to be whoever they want to be, whether it's Liza Minnelli or Barbara Streisand or Conan the Barbarian. You can do whatever you want to do, and it's a message that every young person should get.
And I am so happy to meet you and that I saw the movie and continue to give joy to us.